Are you listening?
What are you doing here?
Ryan, it's Sunday. We have to film today.
Oh my god. I've been playing since Wednesday. Okay. Here, take this. I will be right back. Alright, coming. Sorry. Let me hold on. Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Report, your go-to source for all the week's gaming news, nerfed into one show once a week, so you can worry less about reading the news and get back to playing those video games. And on this week's episode, Destiny 2 Shadowkeep is shaping up to be an absolutely insane game. FortNite finds itself shrouded in yet another controversy. Has Joel from The Last of Us been evil all along? And Xbox's Phil Spencer gives gamers a deeper look into their next generation console, Project Scarlett. But before we get into any of that, your top headlines. FortNite. Currently, the HGTV Battle Royale game finds itself neck deep in yet another controversy. A controversy that we are aptly calling BruteGate. Since the addition of the new giant mechanized robots called Brutes, Fortnite's player base has claimed that the giant robots have created a massive imbalance to the game's experience. And Fortnite initially addressed their player base's concern by lowering the spawn rates of the brutes. Originally, there was a 100% chance of multiple brutes spawning during the first 3 zones. Fortnite lowered the brute spawns to a 21.5% chance, with the final zone being lowered from a 10% chance to a 3% chance of brute spawning in the final circle. But with the internet being, well, the internet, that wasn't enough, because hashtag #RemoveTheMech was trending on Twitter worldwide. And Epic Games did the most sensible thing possible and sat their player base down for a little fatherly heart-to-heart. In a press release, Fortnite stated, "We've heard the frequent discussions about the Brute, and decided this would be a good opportunity to explain the Fortnite philosophy. The mission of Fortnite is to bring players of all skill levels together to have a fun experience where anyone can win. For example, everyone having a shot at that first elimination or victory royale moment and the satisfying feeling that comes with it. Right now, we know there are players out there who have never had that opportunity." The Brute was added at the start of Season 10 with this mission in mind. Since then, we have seen players who have previously struggled with getting eliminations acquiring more, while the number of eliminations earned by more experienced players remained steady. Fortnite then provided these wonderful graphs that show the average Brute elimination per game and the percent of Brute eliminations per game. You know, I gotta say, I'm a sucker for a good graph. I mean, it's such a boss move to win any argument. For example, here's a graph of how many people are watching this video and have yet to subscribe. And here is a graph of the desire that I have to do this show full time. So let's fix that. THQ Nordic was in the news this week, as during their Q1 report to investors, they gave gamers a glimpse at the future of some of our favorite franchises. Franchises like Saints Row, which Saints Row 5 is currently in development at Deep Silver Volition. Now, Dambuster Studios, who's worked on games like Homefront Revolution, is now in charge of the development of Dead Island 2. Fish Labs is working on an unannounced THQ title, and THQ has plans to revitalize the Time Splitter franchise, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, Destroy All Humans, and Darksiders. It was also revealed that THQ has 2 unannounced major AAA titles launching within the next 12 months, along with 81 games under development, with over half of those games being unannounced projects. 81 games! Man, THQ is either trying to be the Netflix of gaming, or someone in the company is a big fan of the now that's what I call music business model. Stay with me, guys. 81 games, 1 disc. Now that's what I call gaming, Volume 1. Last of Us, the greatest game of all time. And I know somebody at home right now is being like, well, actually, Breath of the Wild is the greatest game of all time. And to that, I would say, sorry, Nintendo games aren't real video games. Well, this week, Troy Baker, the voice actor who plays Joel in The Last of Us, sent gamers on a philosophical journey with one question. Are we the hero or the villain in our own journey? During a panel at Manchester Comic-Con, Troy Baker said, "You assume that Joel is the hero and David is the villain, but everyone is the hero in their own story. I firmly believe that David believes he's doing what is best for his people, and he is the hero in his story. Joel, I don't think deals in those terms at all. I don't think Joel believes he's a hero. If he was to lean anywhere, I think Joel would consider himself a villain, which is why he can say that he's been on both sides. Like he can say, I'm just a guy trying to get by. I'm not here to save anybody. I'm not here to upset anyone's plans. I'm just trying to live one day at a time." And finally, for our top headlines, Destiny 2 Shadowkeep. This week, Guardians were given a brief glimpse at the future of Destiny. In a series of 3 updates called Director Cuts, Destiny 2's game director Luke Smith reflected on the last 2 years of Destiny 2, along with giving gamers an update on what we can expect when Shadowkeep drops this October. Well, this October, Bungie plans to expand on the RPG aspects that many Guardians have come to love. Gamers can expect more stats and additional depth added to each set of armor and weapons. Essentially, Bungie hopes that you will find the perk you want, find the armor look you want, and pursue that armor to get the element and stats that you want, and then combine them to make your Guardian. Armor will also now feature an energy meter that ranges from 1 to 10. All of the in-game mods and perks will have an energy cost that, in order to equip them, you must ensure that your Guardian has the proper elements and enough energy available. But that's not all. Starting this fall, power levels for both returning and new players will be set to 750, with Guardians pursuing a max power level of 1,000. Now, normal in-game activities like PvP, strikes, or quests can drop gear with a max power level of 950. But any gear over 950 will be available exclusively in raids or other pinnacle events. And since we mentioned PvP, let's talk about some of the changes coming to Destiny's PvP as well. Bungie is bringing back 3v3 and 6v6 style matches, with the previous 4v4 matches being added to a new weekly rotating playlist. Now, Luke Smith made it very clear that Destiny 2 Shadowkeep still has plenty of announcements left before its release, with new trailers and footage releasing next week during Gamescom, and a deeper look at the future of annual passes coming later in August. And of course, Destiny 2 Shadowkeep will be launching on October 1st of 2019.
Now for something completely different. Yeah.
Xbox. This generation of gaming for Xbox has been extremely interesting. Now, if you don't remember, at launch, the Xbox One was massively rejected by gamers due to Microsoft's focus on being a whole home system versus a traditional gaming console. When PlayStation was focusing on producing the best games possible, Microsoft was focusing on implementing DRMs, Kinect control, and the ability to watch television and play the Xbox at the same time. Now, since then, Xbox has really turned a brand new leaf by implementing new services like Game Pass. For $9.99 a month, gamers have access to over 100 games, including access to every first-party Xbox exclusive game the day it launches. And outside of services, Xbox has also had a major push on improving hardware this generation as well. In fact, Microsoft has launched 3 new versions of the Xbox One since the original launch, with each version targeting a separate gamer. The Xbox One S, for example, allowed easy access to 4K gaming and faster computing at a lower cost. The Xbox One X brought an insane quality in graphics and massive teraflops, whereas the final Xbox One SAD removed the console's disk drive and promoted an all-digital future. And in many ways, the changes that Xbox has made to the Xbox One this generation have put it ahead of PlayStation. Now, they still don't have the library of AAA quality games that PlayStation does, but ask yourself this. If Microsoft would have came out of the gate with the Xbox One S, including services like Game Pass, would PlayStation still have won this generation of gaming? Now that question of what if will haunt us for the rest of our lives. But luckily for you and I, we are on the precipice of the next generation in gaming. And this time, Xbox is looking for a comeback. And Microsoft is betting extremely hard on its next console, codenamed Project Scarlett. Now, very little is known about Project Scarlett, but luckily for us, this week Phil Spencer sat down with GameSpot to talk about his focus on moving to the next gen and what that means to gamers. Phil Spencer told GameSpot, "I think the area that we really want to focus on next generation is frame rate and playability of the games, ensuring that the games load incredibly fast and ensuring that the game is running at its highest frame rate possible. We're also the Windows company, so we see the work that goes on for PC and the work that developers are doing. People love 60 frames per second, so getting games to run at 4K 60 frames per second I think will be the real design goal for us." The thing that's interesting is this generation we've really focused on 4K visuals and how we bring both movies through 4K Blu-ray and video streaming, and with the Xbox One X allowing games to run at 4K visuals will really make strong visual enhancements next generation. But playability is probably the bigger focus for us this generation. How fast do games load? Do I feel like I can get into the game as fast as possible and while it's playing? How does it feel? Does the game both look and feel like no other game that I've seen? That's our target. Now, 4K visuals aside, quite possibly the best feature that the Xbox has going for it is its backwards compatibility. And Phil Spencer was quick to tell us that that feature was not going anywhere. Phil Spencer continued by saying, "We really like the reception and the use that we've seen through the Xbox One backwards compatibility program, making sure that all 4 generations of content, so the original Xbox games that run on your Xbox One today, the OG Xbox, the 360 games that run on your Xbox One, your Xbox One games, and the new generation of games all run on the next platform is important for us. We want to respect the games you've bought from us. We want to make sure that the generations can play with each other. So if you happen to adopt the next generation early and somebody stays back, that if their games are on both platforms, you'll be able to cross-gen play." And it's funny, right now in gaming, we can't have any conversations today without talking about cloud-based gaming, with Google launching Stadia and Xbox working on Project xCloud. But according to Phil Spencer, xCloud is more of a convenience factor than a new set of hardware. To me, it's about what you as a gamer want to do. And I'm not trying to tell you that owning a box that plays video games is a bad thing, or that somehow that's not needed. I think that the cloud inevitability as part of gaming is absolutely true. But we have more compute devices around us than we've ever had. Whether it's your phone, a Surface, a hub, or an Xbox. The world where compute devices are gone and it's all coming from the cloud just isn't the world that we live in today. If you bought a big gaming PC and you like playing games there, I want to respect that and meet you where you are and bring the content and services that you want to that device. If you want to buy an Xbox, if you want to play Minecraft on a PlayStation, I want to make sure that comes to you there. In xCloud, we are building a convenience compatibility to allow you to take your Xbox experience with you. Meaning that's why we focus on the phone and that the experience is not the same as running the games on the Xbox One X. I'm not going to say that it's an 8K, 120 hertz thing. That's not what we're doing here. We're going to bring convenience and choice to you on your phone. And finally, for this week, we come to that noise, of course, signifies that we are running out of time and coming close to the end of the show. So, in order to cover all the week's remaining news, we must initiate a segment that I like to call Every single week, we have so much news to talk about and so little time to do it. So we take all the week's remaining news, put 60 seconds on the clock, and try to cover it as fast as humanly possible without running out of breath, passing out, or dying. So with that in mind, let's put 60 seconds on the clock, one-handed, and go! PlayStation unveiled 4 brand new colors for the DualShock controllers, which are incredibly sexy. CBS will air coverage for Splatoon 2 and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tournaments this year. Loot Crate has filed for bankruptcies. F's in the chat. No, actually, no F's. They declined my sponsorship, so good on them. Life is Strange 2 and Yoku's Isle are both coming to Xbox Game Pass. WWE 2K20 is getting a brand new DLC called Bump in the Night, which may have just sold me on the game. That literally looks so cool. Need for Speed Heat was introduced this week via a brand new trailer, which if you haven't seen it, check it out. Looks awesome. Apex Legends is selling a $170 axe skin, which is the most ludicrous thing I've said this week. Actually, no, it's not, because the final bit of news, Dota 2 is in the middle of its international tournament with a grand prize of $33 million, where first place takes home $15 million. I made 25 cents on last week's episode. But it's fine. It's fine. That is it for Nerfed in 60 seconds, and that is it for this week's episode of the show. If you like what you saw, make sure to hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, and while you're at it, share it with your friends. As always, my name is Bryant Chappelle. You are you, and this has been the Nerf Report. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks so much for checking out our channel. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right there. Don't worry, by hitting that button, you're not giving us any of your information to sell to make money. I said too much.